Hello! Oh my God, are we live?
We're live, yeah.
Are we actually live?
We're live.
Live, great.
Woo!
Thanks, guys.
That was an adventure.
It
It wasn't our equipment.
No,
They had it working about 10 minutes before we started.
we didn't have a rehearsal.
We did. We
Now
had a
we've
bit
got
of
it
a...
all.
Now we're here. I was almost asleep there, I bet you guys were. I hope you've got a nice cup of tea. We missed out on ours. So,
This week,
armature.
and
And we're going to sculpt with web-based clay.
fabulous.
So, if we talk about armature first, which we touched on last week, so what we were going to do, well, perhaps we would touch on this. This is one that we said for a person, and you can see here, Di did a pose.
This is Tom Walsh, gold medal winner.
In his shot put pose. So it's important actually when you're about to do your sculpture to make sure that you have it in the way that the model is. So we'll go through that.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about these, Di?
The animals?
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about those, I think.
No. Should we talk about them now as
Yeah,
well?
that's good, because I think some people are going to have chosen their pieces to work on tonight,
Yep.
and they are going to be, some may have chosen an animal to do. I think very
So this is a purchased one.
right. So you didn't make that?
I
That's
didn't.
what- that
And
can
this
be
is
purchased.
a purchased human, so you can buy those already made. They're already, of course, proportionate.
Right.
But I made this lovely one earlier.
Little pony
Or
a dog.
It could be a dog, any animal,
Right.
because you can just alter it by cutting some of the armature. But what I thought is, and I made this little human. I haven't wrapped the wire around there. But I thought I can show people how to do that maybe on
Fantastic.
some other little video clips.
Maybe, but I think was really helpful. You showed to the pieces of
Okay.
wire that you have cut,
Yeah.
and just a quick demonstration on how to wire, how the base, and then how the
I
thinner
love
wire
your
is
quick demonstration.
run.
So for the human, we have 3 bits of wire. So basically the length. So if you stand up, Di, and put your hand up in the air.
Right.
So however long you want the person to be from the top of their hand to the ground
Yeah.
is the length of these 2 pieces of armature wire.
Okay.
That's going to be the whole length of you.
Oh, right.
That's going to be the whole length of the armature.
5'3".
Okay, and this one is 3/4 length, and that's going to be the head. But that's what I mean, it's going to take a while to
Yeah.
actually show that, so it's probably better to do that on a separate video.
Okay.
So, but for this, what you need is 3 pieces, and for the animal, we have 4 pieces of armature wire, the same length,
They're all the same length.
all the same length, and we have the wrapping wire, and that will create this.
So those 4 pieces are made up. If you flatten those out,
Yep,
they will be made up by
they're
like
made.
that.
Yep.
By putting them all together. So if it is,
Basically, you wrap 2 together like that,
and that's
then
the
you-
body, and then the 4 the front legs and the
Yeah.
back legs.
and the tail.
Yeah. And so the wire has been wrapped around to hold
Yeah.
it all in place. So that's
Yes.
quite.
But it would be better to I'll show someone, I'll do a little video just showing how to make these so you can make your own,
Detail.
because it'll probably take up too much time.
And I know how excited everybody is about getting to work on their piece.
Exactly,
But if
so
you-
we'll put those to one side.
But you have created an armature for
Yes.
the piece that you're working on.
So this is the piece I'm working on. Di, perhaps you can turn that round, just so people can see, just turn the table maybe.
The round tables.
So this is the piece I'm going to sculpt. I probably didn't really need an armature for that because there's no projecting limbs. But the thing, I was going to do it because I'm showing you how to do it, but also because of the neck, you can see, Di, it's quite thin. So that would be the place that you'd have an issue with it collapsing on itself because the head's obviously a lot heavier than the neck. And when you've got really wet clay, it actually is worse. So I made an armature here, which is basically just the head shapes. The really important thing.
So this is one piece.
Yes.
But you've created 2 armatures.
Yep, 2. And I'll go through how I did that in a minute. But it's really important with your armature that it's not bigger than the piece. You can always add clay on to an armature, but you can't dig into an armature. And I've been caught a number of times that it's out slightly and you can't, because you keep hitting the armature, you can't. You can squash it in and make it thinner, but you just don't want it taller or too big. It's really
After all, it is the skeleton. It's
to
hold the clay and keep it firm.
Exactly. So if we looked at this, what I did basically was I measured how tall she is. Now, there's a base here, so you won't actually see the armature. Mm-hmm. So this is attached to the board.
You attached it by nails?
Yes, I could have done this in 2 ways, this armature. I could have done it as a freestanding piece, like this, which is a freestanding armature. So it would have been similar like that, and I could have moved it around. But I wanted this one because it's on a plinth, if you like, already. I wanted this one attached to the board so I could just move the board.
Once again, it makes it so much more practical.
Much easier and easy to mould, and it's not going to fall over.
Yeah.
So with that, basically, if you get the height, so I wanted the height of that, but I wanted it, remember, a little bit less. So if with the armature from the base. Now, because you're going to, when you attach it to the board, you need some little feet so you can nail it into the board. So when you're doing your armature, don't count that much.
Don't count
it. So you don't count it in your measurements.
Okay.
So that's going to be nailed on.
So that's the base.
Yep.
So that's what's going to be hanging on to the base.
So remember, you want it not as, you don't want it coming out of the head. So you want it smaller. So I'd go to about there.
Mm-hmm. Because as you said, you can always make it bigger.
Exactly.
But you can't make it smaller.
And this is a pretty easy armature to make. So then remember to leave a little bit on the end for the other leg.
To act as the base, to hold it down.
And just cut it there and bend it at the side.
So the importance of the shape of making it
doesn't really matter. Some people, for instance, like the head armature there, you've got two bits. I don't think, something this size, you certainly don't.
Yeah, because it's so large.
Yeah,
you need something strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this, you don't actually need that big. It's really, as I said, we almost didn't need one, but we thought we'd do one anyway.
Good to show.
So remember, it's based on the ground. Now, the good thing about this size armature, you wouldn't go for the really big ones that we showed you last week. Like, that would be way overkill. And the reason why is it would be much harder to bend.
So the tools that you use, that you're working with before and shaping Tom, I was learning how important it is to get an angle, though, to get the shape. So the shape is important, the base shape is important.
It is. When you're doing a human especially, or animal, this sort of thing's not as much.
It's more abstract.
Yeah. So you can see it's only going up to here, but that's fine because it's taken in most of the neck.
So as long as there's enough hold.
Exactly, yeah. So the weight on top will hold. It'll just be the neck, so the neck doesn't let go. So that's, if you like, Mary. And then I did another one using the same method to do the child. So remember, you bend the end because you're going to attach it to a board.
Those pliers are really important to get.
They are great.
Because to try and do that,
with
my fingers would be impossible.
It's pretty flexible, but it's
It is hard. It's
and
not
you
a
get
soft hand, people.
Black everywhere. So I'm just going to have it a guess because that's what I do.
I wonder if many people are following you with the same piece.
Well, it'd be hard for them to follow the same piece because they haven't got a thread. They were told to have a thread. But I'm sure maybe it would be very funny. But anyways, thank God, this is a live thing. Stop it. Okay. Howard, if you're listening, do you see what I mean?
I apologise. I'm very sorry, Shona. So back to what we were doing.
Right. So here's
Mary.
Yeah. So you don't want this thinner armature, the wrapping wire, down the bottom because you're going to find it really hard then to attach it to your board. So if you start up on the vertical and start to wrap that round, and then I use these. And
so you don't need to be too perfect. How?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
this is remember just so that we can attach the clay.
Yeah.
So then we cut a length, and again, it doesn't matter if it's too big or too short or too long.
But you wouldn't want to have you do need to make sure you understand how big you want your piece to be. Yes. Or the smallest you want your piece to be.
Exactly.
So that you don't, because you can't have an armature that's got some joins in it.
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
Yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah.
I do quite a bit. But you can't have this armature.
No.
Well, you can, but it's much better.
Wouldn't it, from a size?
Yes,
stability and some strength.
But this wrapping wire doesn't matter
matter
because it's not there for that purpose.
Cool. Okay.
So you're just wrapping it around the main armature. I find holding it with pliers just wraps so much better.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise your fingers get.
Yeah. It is dirty work.
Yes. I know.
We've got black on today because that's actually a lot easier to show.
It's actually, you do need to wash your hands generally.
Okay, so if I take that and we moved from this one here.
Yeah. So you do the same.
Yeah.
Now, if you realise that it's too big, you can squash it up.
Yeah.
So here's the one that I had prepared earlier. I've always wanted to say that.
Julie Charles.
Yes, prepared earlier. And you'll see it's the child and Mary. Now, if I think, oh my goodness, it's too tall, don't forget you're allowing for the base. But if I thought it's too tall, I can always
widen it.
I can make it thinner. Now remember, you're not doing an exact.
No.
You need your own. Even though you're copying a 3D, you want to have your own influence on pieces. So it's not about being exact. So the first thing to do before you even attach this is, if you've got a 3D piece like that, you can see that's got a plinth. What I've done, if you can see this, is I've drawn, before I attach this, I drew the size of the base. That is a good idea to do with any 3D sculpture, a 3D object that you are copying, if you like. Because what it does is it gives you the parameters for where your sculpt's going to be. And that's stable data,
right.
But we'll talk about that a bit more when we've done it. So if you draw that, then you know.
So that's a reference point.
It is a reference.
So getting on your stable data is actually reference points.
It is. It's like a page, if you like, and you're drawing. You're not going to go outside the area, so it is a reference point. And the other thing you want to do, and then I've nailed it with these little, they're not, I don't know, they're what, an inch, I guess. Yeah. You put them half into the board, use a hammer or pliers, and put them over the wire.
So it's really to hold it?
It is to hold it.
It doesn't matter, okay, you don't want to be sticking up, but you want them to be relatively tight.
So a good idea is to do it on either side of the wire.
To keep it strong.
Yeah. Cool. The next thing you want to do is mark your board. It depends on what you're doing, but especially if you're doing abstract, mark your board, which I haven't done.
With?
I put my glasses on. If you mark your board with F.
The front?
The front.
I hope so.
And the reason is that when you're building up, often you actually don't know which is what.
Front or back.
So this is going to be fun tonight.
Yeah.
Should have had a glass of wine. So So that's the next step. And then you turn your piece. So it's important to have your armature facing the same way, on the same angle and things like that. Not so much perhaps with this one because it is, relatively small compared with what we're doing. It's quite thin. But you want it bent in a way that you can see the baby's head slightly back, isn't it?
So you're saying you've shaped the armature in the same leaning or the same way.
Exactly. Like you've done Tom there.
Yep. So try and get as close to the final position of what you want the piece to look like.
You really want the armature in the middle of your piece, just like your skeleton. You want it in the middle of your arm or in the middle of anything that you're doing.
So you wouldn't just put an armature up and then try and sculpt it around.
No, because you'll find that you'll hit into it here and things like that.
So you do need to look. It's that seeing thing we talked about.
It's seeing
what shape it is.
Yeah, and where the flow is. I've got clay on there already. See where the flow is.
So if you see that, if you turn it like that, you can actually see.
That's right.
Yeah, there is that lovely fall of the face and the head.
Yeah. So it's coming over this way.
Right.
So another thing to remember, we are going to be using our wooden knife, but you have to have your sculpture, your model, if you like, I'll use the word model and sculpture, about equal distance. So for me, I bend these in slightly, so I'm looking at exactly the same
angle.
So
you're in the middle of both
I'm
pieces.
In the middle, I'm looking here, I'm looking here. Or you see, if you turn it this way, you've got to make sure that you're seeing exactly the same. So you want it the same sort of distance. When you're copying something like this, this is your best measuring tool really at this stage.
That's your ruler.
It's just our ruler. And so I've done this piece over here, Di, if you can look.
Yeah.
That.
Can we show everybody how you got from that to that?
That's right. So I thought, should I show them that this is what we're going to get to this stage?
I'm just So this is what we've done, and you're going to show us how you got to here.
Yeah. So that's your basic, very basic blocked shape of Mary. And that's done very quickly, which I'll do now. Show you how to do. I was going to go straight from here, but dive in.
You want to know how to get that clay onto that.
Yeah.
That's
really so we'll put that back in the corner for now, and we will show you with this. Very first thing we do is I need my model beside me. We get our spritz bottle and we spritz. Now, good idea, don't spritz the clay when it's just come out of the bag because it'll be too wet. You don't want the clay too wet. So I just noticed I was spritzing it as I was doing this, so move your clay away and just spritz it.
So you spritz the armature.
Yep, and that will help the clay. I won't need that till the end now. I'll put this back, is that better? You can see what I'm doing.
See what Shona's doing.
So I tend to, now's probably a good time to talk about music, Di, but I tend to work very quickly.
Are you sing?
Yeah, maybe next time.
Singing and sculpting. We talked about singing and sculpting, but singing.
Yeah.
Music's so important though, isn't it? Because it does, I think there have been studies already that prove that.
I'm doing the bass, sorry, Di.
It's okay.
I'm just doing the bass first. So I'm just piling.
So while you're doing that,
yes,
you can tell us what you're doing. I mean, you're putting the clay throughout the base. That's good. We can see that. Yep. Just quickly though about music, how important it is for some people, not for others. But I think you've got music that you like to play. What do you prefer to listen to?
I listen to opera. I love opera. Although I have refined my taste a little bit because not everyone loves opera, and it depends if I'm teaching a class. But I love opera and especially Italian opera because...
Do you understand Italian?
No.
Is that why?
No.
Because I think they did say,
good
some researchers said that listening to the words of music can sometimes be distracting.
Yes, and that's it. Well, I didn't know that until you told me that.
No, mine with information.
I know. But I would agree with that because I don't like getting wrapped up in the words. No. I don't like leaving my sculpt to listen to the words, whereas the music moves through me. It feels different.
Right.
And it actually feels like it adds to the sculpt.
Brad Pitt, latest sculptor I read about. And I saw his
so everyone will be doing it now.
Spotify playlist, and he had the Everly Brothers as one of his favourite.
Oh, who wouldn't?
Yeah. I get caught up in the words I want to sing. Yeah. I love listening to classical music and Mozart, the piano. It's just that sound to me is beautiful. And the rhythm, yeah, it's quite superior.
So you can see the basic, it's following the line. So the very basic plinth, if you like. Now, as with everything, we want to measure out to see. Now, you don't want to be too exact with these things because this is just really the shaping, the blocking. But you do want to get some things right. And one of the things is the height. So if I come in here and I measure the height of my piece, and I come back here, and see that part there is exactly right. Mm-hmm. So I have to build up to there. And why that's important is that you need, when you begin a sculpture, you want to begin with stable data. And stable data is basically information that you know to be right.
So that's the reference points that we talked about by having the square in the beginning, drawing a square around.
Yeah.
That's basic stable data.
Yeah, and this is just a basic piece, a basic sculpture. But if you were using a person, there's different stable data points for different sculptures. But it's any points you know about. With a figure, I know where the heart is and I know where the pubic symphysis is. So those are my two stable data points. With a skull, there's a zygomatic arch, and the terms don't mean anything.
So what would you use as your stable data points on this piece here?
Well, the initial one I'm using is the plinth, the height of the plinth. So I know this point and I know this point because I've measured them.
So you'll set the height at this stage?
So that's it's about right.
Is it important to have a plinth? Like, do you need to have the space?
You don't need to, but if you want it to sit properly sit nicely, often you can do something that it's got to be able to balance. So, for instance, you're not going to have a human balancing on the tippy toes without any base. It just won't hold up. So you do need to think
about how you want to present, how it's going to be presented.
Yeah. So there's your basic plinth, and again, always recheck your points. It's about the same height. So I'm going to just start working now. So
the measuring of is going on from the very beginning, just measuring,
absolutely,
understanding what proportions.
Exactly, but you keep going back to those stable data points all the time. You'll use them as we go on. So at this stage,
you're just literally taking pieces of clay.
Yep.
And you're not wrapping it. You're placing it around.
Yeah. Remember, we've spritzed it, right? And you squeeze it in. Remember, this isn't ceramic. If it was ceramic, you'd have to make sure there's no air in it. But because we're not doing ceramic, we don't need to worry about that.
So really, it's just the squeezing. You don't need to push it down hard or at all. It's just
water-based clay is so much wet is so easy.
So if you just keep going, and you eventually
so you'll get a general
outline
shape, and I just squeeze it on both sides. So it goes through.
In this process, building up so that you've got the basic shape, similar shape to what you're working on.
Geometric shapes, really.
And don't try and be. Do you need to be like? I remember the first time I did this, I was trying to be quite exact and try and keeping it.
Yeah.
But I think you taught us that. Get the clay on and then start working.
Well, there's different ways. Okay. I mean, if I'm doing a figurative piece, I'll actually sausage my clay, or if I'm doing a feature because it has to look like a person, or it looked like a
So when you sausage a clay, you mean rubbing it in your hands together?
rub it,
Yeah.
thin parts like this, and I attach it to
And this is the water-based clay.
it's a water-based clay. So, for instance, if this is the human, I'd attach it either side. And the reason for that is it's very important to see muscles and things like that. When you're doing a piece like this, an abstract piece, you don't need to.
Okay. Because you're going to sculpt the shape.
Yeah.
As
But with
opposed to
that, I mean, one time we'll do a video probably on figurative, which is a different process. But for this one, we're just going to concentrate
on getting the shape.
on getting the shape.
Okay. So I think from there we could move to this part, moving into this.
Then would I
this
be
here.
able to grab a little bit more clay? That would be awesome, thank you.
And then do you want to start working on that piece there?
Yeah, but do you think that I was just going to keep going basic for basic shape? So you're working at the front, so you need the width. So I know in here, so the child's going to come to about here. So draw on your clay, really good. It's not about perfection yet. You're going to finish it properly. So I'm doing a measure basically, and marking where she's going to go to, where he's going to go to. I turn it to the side.
So this again is the reason why it's better to have a turntable.
Yes.
I think we were talking about turntables or being able to turn your work around
Right.
rather than.
Oh yeah, really good.
Makes
And
more
always
sense now.
keep the model and your sculpture the same way. You always, if you turn one, you turn the other. And again, I'm just going to draw where she is on there.
So there's the sausage method of what you've just shown, or like geometric shapes.
Yep. We end up triangulating and
Triangulations.
so when you have 2 points, for instance here, you know this point, stable data are points that you know to be correct. So you know, for instance, this point and you know this point. So you're wanting to find another point. So you say the top of the head. Well, you know the height of the head. You know where the corner is. So you've got a triangle. So you know exactly the point in the middle. You know where the nose will be because you've got this point and you've got this point and you've got now the top. So you can triangulate it that way, which is basically joining, like, dots. What's it? Join the dots.
And I remember those.
Yeah.
You when you used to do jigsaws and different
Yeah.
shapes.
So if you've got 2 points and you're trying to create a triangle, you know the third point. So if you know it's the height, you know it's going to be here. You've created a triangle.
So when are you doing that? Looking at doing triangulations at this point that you are at now, or
no.
Once you get into more of a start.
This would be more blocking. All I'm doing is getting the general shape.
So you call this blocking? What you're doing
Yeah,
now?
well, blocking is, people call different things, but blocking is really just building up really quickly.
The different advantages of using, for instance, this clay for this type
Yes.
of piece that you're working on. If you were working on, say, oil-based clay,
Yeah,
would take a lot longer.
a lot longer, yeah.
And having large pieces of clay, oil-based clay is actually harder to work.
Yes.
So the advantage of the water-based clay and pieces like this is always
Thank you. Thanks.
some more clay.
It's always good to have more than you need out. Even normally I bag it because. So I don't know if you saw, but I even drew this shape around so that I can in the clay, so I can.
So that's drawing. You keep drawing. You just said draw on your piece.
Yeah.
Keep drawing on the piece. Looking left to right.
Yeah, left to right.
Always turning it.
Left to right or right to left,
Yeah.
but always your front plane. And then if you're turning one, always turn the other one. So you can see
So matching.
Yeah, so you can see it's sort of starting to take form. As I said, it's very quick. So you'll be hopefully doing the same with your piece at home.
I wonder what people are doing. Has anybody had a moment to actually post us on Facebook and tell us what they are working on? Wouldn't it be great if somebody just took 2 seconds?
Someone who's new said the other day that they are doing, I hope they don't mind, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but a water dragon.
A water dragon.
And I thought that sounded really cool. And as she said, it's quite, it's quite a challenge for the beginning, to learn.
So somebody who's doing wood dragon would be doing a lot of detail.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Well, I guess it depends if it's going to be an abstract water dragon or.
Because you don't have to make, as you said at the beginning, you can adapt whatever you're working with.
Exactly.
You don't have to copy anything.
So here you can see I'm measuring the height of his head. So I've still got a bit to go.
So when you measured, you were measuring on the stick.
Using my stick.
Like I would go a ruler, but you don't need a ruler.
No, that's right. And it comes out further. So when I'm looking at this, I can see from this point in here, his head's going out further than this point down the bottom here. So you can see that angle. Now, one of the tools we use when we're sculpting is a clock. So if you like, I'll have a little drawer.
That's a good idea.
Here's a clock. Oh, am I in the wrong way? Is that better? Here's a clock. And it's 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Yeah, I'm not a good drawer. And 9 o'clock. So when you're looking at a piece, for instance, like this, and you know where the nose, say I've got the nose, I know where the nose is. In relationship to the nose, what time is it for
the eye?
The eye, the outside of the eye. So if that's 12 o'clock, what would that be, Di?
The eye would be
the outside.
About 2
o'clock. So it'll be 2 o'clock. So when you have your piece, you'd mark
the eye to be.
So if that's 12 o'clock for the nose, the eye would be, there's 12, 1, 2. So the end of the eye would be there. You don't know how far up it is yet, but you know
the angle.
The angle of it.
So that's like when you talk about points, stable point data.
Yes.
So it's the clock is another tool to use to get those points, those points of reference.
Yeah, we use a stable data point, and you'll see as we go on with the piece, that's when they really come into play.
It's like triangulations, what you said it before about triangulations. Well, the clock is effectively 4 triangles. More? 3, 4.
Well, it's 4 segments.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, and that's if you're using the same outlook to say, okay, how can I work out what it is? Either use a clock, use triangles.
Yeah, you use triangles.
Because it has to be
Clock's
2 points.
Quite good because triangulation you use when you have 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a 3rd point, say you're looking for the eye, you'd use a clock, and it would be 1 o'clock would be the beginning of the eye, and 2 o'clock would be the end of the eye from the nose. So you use it to triangulate.
I think we did some drawings before to show what we meant in terms of the triangulation process. I think you were discussing it before.
Oh, but you have a look at that, Di. Di's going to show you because
we've drawn the heads in the gold here.
Yeah,
I don't really can see this. That's the mother, and we've drawn the other head here as well. We've drawn some features just to guide us, and then we've decided which are the stable points data we need to use. The side of the head, the top of the head. So that's 1 point.
Yeah.
Those 2 points, and then to bring that down to the base here.
Yeah, you can triangulate. So you know. Yeah. And once you know this point, then you know halfway between there and there. You know, when you know the width, you know what halfway is, and then is it slightly to that side. I know it's quite a difficult,
Geometry.
yes, but it's quite a difficult way to get your brain used to it, but it really does help.
If we drew lines over,
yes,
we would see that.
yes,
If we drew a line from there to there,
yeah,
and then the top we could join, we would make a triangle.
Yep.
We would triangulate.
Yep. So as I'm doing this, I'm just trying to get the general.
You don't want to take over all the space that you've done it through?
Well, yes, I probably will, but I just wanted people to actually.
And they'll be working on their pieces.
Yeah, they'll be working on their own.
Do you need to spray it often at this point, or what?
We don't spray it at all.
Don't spray it at all while you're working on it.
No, because it'll get slushy and it won't hold as well, and you'll end up with, slushy clay. That is really, you have to wait till it dries.
Okay, I'm going to say, what do you do if it gets too wet?
Yeah, you have to wait till it dries.
Don't do anything silly like putting a hairdryer or something like
that.
No, just be
Definitely
patient.
not. You have to put it aside, I guess. You can heat the room, but you don't use the hairdryer, that's for sure.
Okay, so you don't need to spray throughout the time that you're working.
No. Now see how I'm moving it all the time? So I'm moving, I'm moving the sculpture and I'm moving the model so that I can get the flow.
What I see you doing is you're really looking, you're really seeing, which is what we talked about last week about the importance, as I put my glasses on, of seeing what you need to see rather than thinking what you need to see.
And exactly right.
The
brain doesn't come into it, which is lucky.
No brain's necessary, Shona. I don't know.
This is where I start using the blender palette because I want to see the shape, and this will blend all your bits of clay together. So wherever you're
starting to sculpt, this is really starting to do the sculpting process, you could say.
Yeah, it is. So where people are using their own
fingers,
they're doing their own tools. If they perhaps use this, if they've got this, I know quite a few people bought the kits. In fact, we've got none left. So if you want some, you might just have to wait a couple of weeks for getting some flowing in.
So in terms of just using your hands, though, like that makes it
great.
Hands are great. So,
but see how this just gives you the flow. So when for instance, if I'm trying to get this part here, see how I can just dig in and I can just round that head.
So it can do even more than what your hands will do.
It's a different tool. Hands are brilliant. Love them.
Yeah.
Got two.
Yeah.
Lynn Whitwood has just asked a question, which is, what do you do without the 3D model?
Yes, Lynn, that's what we
talked about last week.
Yes, because this method you need a 3D model because I'm trying to show the basics of measuring. When you use a photo or a picture,
it's two-dimensional.
It's two-dimensional. You can't learn the basics of sculpting without using a 3D model. Because you can't relate to measuring. How do you measure this or measure that? You do learn how to do that as you go on, but you do need the basic
because of
process first.
Because the photo is really only one plane.
It is, yeah.
And sculpting is looking at how many planes?
Exactly.
Planes.
It's like painting. It's all perception. It's not. It's one. It's. You can't see the depth of it, but it's perception.
So it's Lynn. If Lynn is at home and she's trying to create something that she's not. So she's starting from scratch and you're working from her mind.
Yes.
She's doing something.
Yeah.
Just tell her, just keep on going, Lynn. Just don't, even though you haven't got a reference point to use, you will use she can use her piece.
Of course she can. Yeah.
So it's not impossible at all.
It's not impossible.
No.
What about a child's soft toy?
It's a good.
That would be
anything 3D.
Anything that's 3D that can be turned.
That's a good idea. And don't forget, this can be your imagination. I guess the 3D thing is just to show how measuring can operate. If you've got a photo, you can't measure in the same way. So this blending tool, you can see it just gets.
We'll just get a close up of that blending.
Closing on the blender.
Close up.
Close up on the blending. Know what you're doing with
Oh,
What you're doing on the blending, yeah.
it just enables me then to see, have I got the right shape or is it not the right shape? And this particular tool helps you because you also get to see the light and the shadow and the light.
the dark and the light.
Yeah, so one thing to note is when you're looking at something and it shines, it's got the light, that means that it is out further then, if you like it. It's like
Protruding.
protruding.
It's
That's
closest
the
to the
word.
light.
Yes, it's close to the light.
So when things are dark, like shadows,
Yep.
it means it's farther away.
It is. So to create a shadow in sculpture, you dig deep, if you like. So you go inwards and you'll create a shadow. To create a light, you have to add on some clay.
We talked about adding people who are sculptors who are either adders
Yeah,
or
that's right.
as smoothers or
We all tend
Different.
to have one, what is it called? It's not-
foible, or is it?
Yeah,
it's not really a foible. It's more a
like, as you said, the
A weakness.
go-to.
the go-to when all else fails.
Yeah, the go-to, yeah, it is a preference, but it's not necessarily a right preference in that. When I have classes, everyone has to identify their own area that they can improve, I guess, or they have to watch themselves. So one of these is, I think, Di, you were
An adder.
an adder.
An adder. And I
A lot of people are adders,
and
not the snake variety.
no.
What?
And then
So
I
would you like to explain what an adder is?
well, I just kept adding clay rather than looking and seeing
What's
that I
needed?
needed what's needed. So I kept on thinking I needed to add to create light or to create a more of a shape. Whereas if I went away, came back and looked again, I could see that it's actually, I needed to create depth. I think that's what it's
Exactly right, yeah. So some people are adders, some are smoothers.
Smoothers.
So everything's got to be smooth. When you do smooth everything, you miss out on the light, you miss out on the shadows, you miss out on the detail. So try not to smooth until the very end.
Because some of the most beautiful pieces are actually, like, you know, I go back to Rodan again, like that gorgeous texture and strength of that rough,
Yep,
the roughness of the finish, as
absolutely.
opposed to, the smooth.
Well, you can't see your points as well when it's smooth.
Because this is very smooth. So to
It
see
is.
your points,
So so this is me doing this again. You can see I've done it slightly more in this one, so I'll probably swap just to save time. But here, what I would tend to do is I'm just going to double check my points. Yep, that's exactly right. So now I'm going to draw on it.
we talked another time about drawing what you want to, create.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a great drawer, do you? At all.
I would not be here. Seriously. So again, you're just drawing in.
Drawing is like reference points again.
It's exactly
If you don't
what
draw
it is.
it, how are you going to know what you want to put where?
Yep. So the other thing that you need to then look at is positioning. So I can see already on this piece here. I hope you're enjoying that cup of tea, Zen.
Coffee.
God, you can't get good
No.
help. No,
Try it.
terrible. So I can see her face is actually looking downward. So when I turn this around, you use, it's difficult for me because I'm trying to see. So you use your knife. You can see the angle. So if that's 12, that's
We're using the clock
probably
again.
11. 11 is not the top of her head, but it's her brow.
You look close up on that. I think just so they can see.
So I need to go back to mine in exactly the same way, and I need to create the brow on an angle.
Can you move this way a little bit, Shona?
Me? No,
To your right.
not really. I can't see what I'm doing.
Or just tilt it.
Okay, so this is the difficult part. So I want to get a line that's going to be the same. So really at this stage, all you're doing is lines.
Don't try and shape it.
You shape it, but shape it in general. Don't do detail. It's a waste of time doing detail.
Because
until
I
you've
would
got the
probably want to
general
say,
shape.
shall we do the nose now?
Yes.
And you would say,
And I would say no.
wait.
Again, her bottom of her chin.
Mm-hmm.
So we take that. And her bottom of her chin's actually way down here. So I know I'm out. So you place clay wherever you're going to be. So I know it's there. So see how I've just put a dot of clay there? Because I don't know how wide that is or anything, but I do know it's going to be that deep.
So that's another point for you to go to.
It
measure
is.
from.
And then I'm just going to add that on.
So I think Michelangelo did all the drawings. Is it Da Vinci or Angelo that did all the drawings?
Both.
And if there's the famous body,
Leonardo.
yeah.
Oh,
And
that
Leonardo,
was Da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
But
And so and you can see, the reality is you can see. If we
was
just
a
took
science,
this,
mathematicians
yeah.
of the time.
if you took each piece that you're looking at and just put lines through it,
Exactly. One of the
that's
things
your guide.
One of the things actually that you can do too is get a grid. So if you're doing the exact same thing, you can get a grid like a pastry, that you put
Just
cookies
mass
on.
paper or just school paper.
No. But if you do the one with the cookies, you put the cookies on the metal. The metal air.
And when you put after you've done finish the baking and you
Yeah, what's it called?
this thing, the baking tray.
Where's my mother when I need it? What's it called, Mum? It's
the cooler?
Yeah, the cooler thing. Well, if you grab something like that and you look through it and you mark your points, you can see where everything is within that grid, and then you put it on your own one. So if you want to get that precise about it, I don't.
So it's being too precise. So in sculpting is about the feel, about the glorious feeling of sculpting and what you're creating, as opposed to being a mathematician.
Yeah.
So it's that. How that flow. How do you? At what point would you say just enjoy yourself rather than being focused on too much?
I'd say all the time enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying yourself, don't bother. But in saying that, the flow of a piece is much more important than the exactness, in my experience and what I.
So that flow comes from your own personal what you put into it, how you see
it's
it.
looking at movement. How do you capture a moment in something that's static, like a sculpture?
And that's the ideal for every sculptor, to actually try and realise that is.
Well, anything static, it's the same with painting, I guess, or drawing. How do you capture
Movement,
emotion? So as you can see, as I'm just going round, I'm doing little drawings so I can see where points are. That head comes in there. Can you boys see that a little bit?
Different books that some people can actually think about looking at and want to learn more about sculpting, want to learn about sculptors and sounds. We've all got access to the net.
Yeah.
And there's so much online, so much.
Yeah.
But do you have any favourite books? Any books that you'd highly recommend? I found one in the library. I did.
Oh, good.
Yeah. From clay to bronze.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's to understand at this stage.
Yeah.
That's a really.
Can we get a zoom in on this one?
That shows how you start from clay and basically the processes that we go through, whether you're doing bronze or whether you're doing.
It's particularly figurative as opposed to abstract, as opposed to.
No, it is figure sculpting, but it's the same process. So it doesn't really. Now, just briefly, again, we want to go over the benefits of water-based clay.
Yeah, we talked about that sort of earlier.
We did, yeah. See, I'm getting the same width. That's what I want. So then it narrows down here. There's a little bit thinner there.
You want to
move to the side, Shona,
Shona, we can't see what
just
you're
do it
doing.
this way. So
Can you work, the difficulty is in
What do you need me to do?
because you're covering up the piece for us. We want to see what you're doing.
face down,
Face me, turn around.
and you can rotate the. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
As opposed to shooting back.
Right.
We want everybody to see what you're doing rather than see
Well,
your
I've
back.
never done it where I've needed to. I'm usually where Di is, aren't I? Well, where other people are sculpting and then I'm like,
But
okay.
in this
okay,
case,
just
we
get
want
it.
people to learn how to do it
Yes.
and learn from you.
So we know that the length is about right. Seeing a little, it's got slight more than angle on a head. So again, you know, even when you're copying a piece, make sure you have it as how you want it. Doesn't have to be exact.
So you're working quite a pace here because we want to try and help people get through as much and learn as much as they can
Yeah.
tonight with you. So I don't think we're not going to finish this piece tonight, but we're just going to show some different techniques.
Yeah.
So in using what we've learned about using the clock, we've used about the stable data points, triangulations, some different tools for the different techniques.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would use, like in terms of moving, if we move away from that piece now and into this piece here, you can start showing some more techniques.
As you can see, I find it very difficult leaving a piece. I have sculpted for 24 hours non-stop with my African child because it felt that I was bringing her into the world.
Giving birth.
Yeah, horrendously, because it's a very sad piece. But I couldn't leave her.
So you're talking about a sculpture, not a doctor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a sculpture. Oh yes, here you go, Di.
Actually, we were just going to.
Can I have my? Oh, I've got mine. That's great. Yeah, a sculpture I did, which was a life-size 2-year-old starving child, which I did in bronze. But yeah, that was incredibly sad. So that's your basic blocking, and it's not quite right. I can see as soon as I have a look because I can see an angle here, but you know, I haven't done her face or anything yet. So this is pretty much the same at the same stage, a little bit more, because you've got the shawl cut in there. So for here, I'm trying to find out where the eyes are in the middle. So I would say the halfway point. So this is where you can use calipers, which is also another good method. But of her face, where this part is here,
It's important not to worry about being absolutely perfect.
Otherwise you'll miss your. You can go back and get your stable data. You can do that, but you've got to get the right flow. So actually, hers are a little bit lower than that.
So that
Because she's looking down. This is just your normal. Clean your tools. I can hear Martine saying, "Keep your clean tools. Tools clean." I'm very naughty because I just scrape it on the side there. So, yeah, as far as, I have to keep turning it, I'm sorry, but otherwise I can't see.
So, but different tools that you've been using just 2 tools here at the moment.
I have,
so,
yeah.
Is that because they're your favourites with working with this time?
This is actually my favourite, but for instance, it depends on. I've got a couple upstairs which maybe I'll show you one time when in wax. They're about to be moulded. And I love these tools, the spatulas.
We talked about that last week in the introduction. Yeah.
But you can get all sorts of different finishes with sculptures, with palette knives. It almost can look like a Degas was the one who used to do a lot of it. But
With a spatula knife.
yeah, sort of Degas finish is what we call it. And it's sort of like a rough, it's like it's got the general shape, it's to give an impression, it's more emotional.
As opposed to a smooth finish. So if somebody
Yeah.
it's like everybody does here, we talked earlier about adders and subtractors
Yeah.
and rough and smooth. But it is, I think everybody does develop their own style as to whether you want to be a smooth finish.
Yeah. What styles do you
And
like?
so the tools actually help create that for you, which is exactly what you're doing now.
Absolutely.
And I think we talked earlier today about some of these other tools that you can use to create different finishes.
So
The
these are
textural.
texture sets. They come in 3 different textures, 3 different packs. I think there's 5 or something in each pack, and they've all got a particular pattern. So if you're doing a snake, for instance, it's got like a snake finish. These are particularly good with water-based clay because it's so soft. So as an example, I don't know if you guys can see, so here's you have a little bit of clay, and I'm just going to press that in there. Don't know if you can see, but it's like a rock. Don't know if you can see that. But
Right there. Hold it still.
So for instance, if you wanted to, like you didn't, somebody was sculpting at home and didn't want to have a smooth finish,
yeah,
like, okay, you don't have to copy what you're doing here. So if you wanted to use at the end, because it's, you know, a cloth, rather than a smooth finish, you could use something like that to create.
totally.
And skin it to create
And
the
here,
texture.
if you're doing a plinth, you might want it rock-like, or you might want it, you know, in a different. All these do the same thing, but it's just much quicker than a tool, and they generally form some sort of pattern. As I said, snake. There's all sorts of different. There's 3 different sets, aren't there? Then.
But you could do, you know, the knife does that. You can use different things, nature things.
Absolutely.
Sponge, you know, good old sponge.
Absolutely.
Makes a fabulous
Yes, it does.
And I think you were going to, you're going to talk about some of the brushes.
Yes, I was just going to say with this though too that you mightn't be able to see it very clearly, but it's definitely there. And silicone, when you mould it, will pick it up. Silicone can pick up your fingerprint. It's that.
Detail oriented.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Adhesive.
So it picks up all that. What else was I going to talk about, Di?
We're talking about the brushes, about the use, what you can do with brushes on your base clay.
Yeah. So when you're finishing a piece, which I'm not there, if you want it smooth, obviously you use these tools first with the smooth edge. So let's just see on here, and you can see how smooth I'm getting.
Okay, and then
And as the clay gets harder, which it does over time, you'll be able to really smooth that, because when you push in, it's firmer against your thumb, so it's not going to have the same, it won't go in. Whereas at the moment, if I did that, it would go in and change the whole shape.
Of course. Yeah.
So
So you have to be careful not to be too hard.
yes,
Same thing again about the different qualities of water-based clay is that there's a lovely, beautiful feel to working on the
oh, there
water-based
is.
clay.
I love it. I love
Is that scene from
it. It's a pain.
that ghost scene, that ghost movie scene?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
That wasn't Brad Pitt, was it? That was
No, that was Swayze.
Swayze.
Lovely boy.
Yeah, that's meant to be. Have you actually seen that yet?
No. keep telling me.
I was telling you about it. You're the only person I know that
Why
hasn't
is
seen
that?
that.
I have no idea.
So especially when you're looking at faces, you can see here, I can really get, like you can see particularly with the forehead, I can really get a smooth.
So why would you use that tool and not your fingers or another one of them?
Oh, because it's different.
Okay.
You'll see when you start using it. I mean, this tool's really good with a palette, which is like these
You
ones.
just showed.
These are really, but see how this is a really thin one.
Mm-hmm.
This one's thicker and slightly harder and really good for any round edges. You can see how it's making the lines from where her.
So once again, the tools there's so many different tools that you can use to create different techniques to create. For instance, like the mouth. How I think you showed us just at the introduction the basis of how the use of a tool created the lip, the bottom lip, the shape of the mouth.
Well, so what I thought we'll do separately, because we're just talking about the generic piece at the moment, when we get into portraiture, we will go into detail about how to create a nose, how to create a mouth, how to create an ear, an eye. And there are quick methods that you can use. And I thought, rather than now, because a lot of people probably aren't doing portraiture, we can do that at a later stage.
Because really it's very helpful to understand the actual structure of eyes, the structure of the mouth, the structure of nose. And I think once you understand more of that, it helps create it.
Exactly.
Speaking of tools, do we have any to give away?
Di has some over
I think Shona said this week the giveaways will be this tool. Shona's favourite.
Oh, it's one of my favourite. That's my favourite. I always use this tool.
And the reason why?
See that? Can I hold it in front of the white viewing? We can zoom up on it.
Yeah, come on, Ryan.
It's really my prop. What is it called? Props. The reason why you would like to give this away to somebody. What have you decided who it's going to be given away to?
Going to Lynn.
Going to Lynn.
Lynn Whitworth.
Good on Lynn. Lynn, this is coming your way.
Was she just lucky you just picked her? Or was it because she asked
I think we
Yeah,
decided that the
question.
questions would be
Great.
good questions that came through. That was one from Lynn. And Shona, if you want, can you show everybody why you love this tool so much? Because I think you're at that stage now.
Well, it's very much the same sort of thing as this palette knife.
And it's
but
because the
can I
edges
use
of
a
it
dirty one, not rather than Lynn's
over in
one?
your drawer. Or we'll clean it. We'll get a clean one for Lynn anyway, so that's okay.
I did have some before.
Okay. I think
There.
That's okay. I'll clean it up after Shona.
That's all right. Guys, so when you're doing something like this, it's the same sort of thing. Hold it very gently, and you can get the shape. So you're seeing, in fact, one of the sculptures I've done, a figure upstairs, I've done it all like this, the whole thing, so I can see at the end. You wouldn't do it generally at this stage, you'd do it closer to the end when it's harder.
Some of the things to remember
But can
about
you
your
see
piece.
how it's showing more the, so do it the way that the muscles go as well.
Helps create the movement, helps create the planes.
The planes, exactly right.
Those planes. We talked about the importance of turning.
You can't have it now, Lynn, sorry.
Okay. We'll have a beautiful new one for you.
I just keep going with these things, I can't help it.
Well, while you're doing that, we could talk about.
Great also for doing little like deep parts like
I
this.
was going to talk about something Shona keeps doing.
You
She's in the mood.
You just had a little deep, so it's deep where your neck goes, and in here.
This is exactly what we want to see. Love it.
So you're starting to create the light and the shadow. I wonder, do you think we should continue with this piece next time, or do you think we should? Because I haven't really shown details on, for instance, the next stage, which is this, is making sure you're getting the shape and the eyes. I wouldn't show perhaps the eyes in detail because you really need a bigger piece for that.
I think what most people wanted to see tonight was the armature, the base, understanding how it works, and then moving through how to put the clay on, and then getting to this so they can actually get started. So I don't think everybody expected us to finish a product, finish a piece tonight, but I think we learned some really invaluable work. Some of the most important things are like this: the data, the stable point data that you talked about, using the clock. Seeing, making sure you don't just see, thinking about what you're seeing, keep looking, keep turning, how important it is not to just look at one plane, at one angle. Keep turning the work, keep looking for, keep moving it, keep moving the piece so you don't get stuck on one plane.
And exactly right, and have it about the same distance. So Di, for instance, if I had that over here and my sculpture here, that wouldn't be a good thing because you're seeing a different perspective. That's in the distance, this is close up. So you want them about the same distance.
So you're seeing the same relevant points again.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think we said earlier, we'd love to see some of the work that pieces that people are working on. So if you'd love to, we'd love to share your piece, and maybe Shona can give some advice or some help
Yeah, or
if you'd like some
people have any
direction.
queries about, their piece, or what are they going to do, or how can they do this easier?
There's another question from Lynn. She's asking, does the armature stay in?
Yes.
It's what keeps it together.
The armature stays in until you finish moulding it, which will go through, and then the armature comes out. Because then you've moulded it,
You don't need it.
you don't need it, and you can reuse the armature. So yeah, the armature will stay in, and then you'll be able to reuse it later.
So, for instance, if you finish this piece and you never, and that was it, you kept it as that,
Yes,
and you didn't mould it, didn't create a mould,
yes.
so the armature would just stay there forever.
Yep.
How
But
long? How
of
long?
course, you're because it's water-based clay, it's going to dry
And
crack, and so you're going to end up with that as an issue. But that's why we mould our pieces. This would be a very simple mould to do. And maybe we'll be able to continue that Zen later as a mould if we do this, if I finish it up.
Yeah, of course.
See the
Then
process.
we're using the same piece and people will be able
And
to
the
understand
continuity.
it. Yeah.
So if there's any other questions that anybody would like to quickly post on Facebook, but otherwise, please, as many questions as you'd like. Shona would love to answer them. Is there anything else we'd like to add, Shona? Let's see some of your work and share with us.
Yeah, love to see some work. I love seeing people enjoying what they're doing, and everyone can keep learning. I can keep learning, that's for sure. I don't hold myself as a master sculptor or anything like that. I'm learning all the time. We talked about the planes. Drawing is really important.
Drawing
to
on
draw
the
on
piece.
your piece. Always move front, side, back, and then back again. Armatures, again, we'll do those probably another time.
And
I think
detail.
that's
I think
probably.
we've done pretty well.
pretty well.
And I think you've done pretty well considering that it's a piece of clay that started as nothing and is now, we can see what it is. So that's
It's a start anyway.
a start. So share.
Yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed tonight and
Learned
can't
heaps.
wait to see your
Absolutely.
pieces.
Very exciting.
One more piece of input from Jill.
Hey
Jill
Jill.
Crow.
Oh, hi Jill.
One important thing you taught me was to only mold, I think she means sculpt, what you actually see in each plane. Do not guess. Maybe to mention that.
That's very true, Jill, thank you. It's also what they say is see your points, so see your stable data points, don't make them up. Because what some people do when they're starting is that they will go, oh, my eye's there, so that must be the right place for the nose. But that actually isn't true if you're basing it on a non-stable data point. So
Sharon's asking how long will the clay stay workable?
right, so this is what I was just going to, it will stay workable for a year, probably, but you have to take care of it. So this is me finishing for the night, if that's done enough. So with my clay, I'd get a plastic bag and I'd wrap that up. I think there's a plastic bag over there. Right. And with my plastic, if I was doing a figure, I'd get plastic, like the sheets that I showed, and I would wrap it around the arms, especially the thin points. So first I'd squeeze it. So I'm going to do it with her. So remove your tools. I always find this hard, leaving my pieces.
Put it in the bed.
Yeah. So then I would squirt my piece. I give you that guy. Give it a good spritz all the way round.
But it's quite wet.
It's quite wet. Yep. Because I've still got a lot to do on it. If tomorrow what I was doing was smoothing it or painting it, this is when later, if you use the paintbrush, it's just another way of getting it really smooth. So I'd squirt that like that, and then I would get my plastic over there. What you can do is, I'm just going to use a plastic bag, but you get the plastic that I was showing you last week from Bunnings, and you just wrap it around that. Another thing you can do is get those little rags there, Di. Mm-hmm. If it's particularly dry, for instance, if it's particularly dry, as an example, I've got one upstairs, the legs, because the legs are thinner, they dry quicker. Okay. But I don't want the whole thing dry. I don't want the whole thing to dry out. No. I don't want the whole thing wet. So what I do is I wet a cloth like this, and I just will put it round the leg.
Just about.
To make sure the leg hasn't dried out, doesn't dry out too much. And then I would wrap it.
So where would you make sure that you don't keep it in a hot room?
Don't keep it in the sun. Definitely don't keep it in the sun. And as you're putting it on, just very gently squeeze out any air.
So, and how long would you keep it like this? If you're not going to be able to work on it, say, for 3 days, 4 days?
Okay, in the winter, I would, with a new piece like this, I would probably check it in 3 days. If it was in the summer, I'd check my pieces every day. Okay. Because it just dries out really, really quickly, and you just lose it.
So it's important to say, okay, if you're going to work on a piece of water-based clay, have intent to finish it sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
if you know that you're not going to have time, then choose another medium, as in oil-based clay. Yeah. But water-based clay is fabulous too.
The feel is, I think all of you will have
felt to know.
It's just awesome, awesome. And on bigger pieces, it's even more because you're using your whole hands. Another good idea is to grab your bits and actually put it down. So keep things all the way around. Just so you're keeping the air out.
That's it. Sculpting with Shona.
Wonderful. See you next week. But before you disappear, what are we going to do next week? We're going to use our oil-based clay. So we'll probably quickly do an animal armature. If you want to do an animal, we'll do an animal armature, and we will use oil-based clay, and we'll talk about that as we go. So get your armature ready, your pliers ready. Have fun finishing your piece. I would suggest you keep doing it. You'll learn lots if you keep going. And send us photos. Love it. See you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks.